GCSE History. It's his story. It's her story. It's everyone's stories. There is nothing in the world more powerful than a good story. Nothing can stop it. History is our collective memory. It's the keeper of all our stories, the triumphs, the defeats, the happiness and the sadness. An understanding of the past is the best way to lead us into the future. Hello, my name's Mrs. Thomas and I teach GCSE History. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction into what you can expect if you choose history at GCSE. In Year 9, we do a study of America, of the USA. Okay, this is 25% of your grade and it's called the USA, a Nation of Contrasts, and we look at America between 1910 to 1929. In Year 11, you will sit an exam on this, which is 1 hour long. There are 3 topic areas. We have a look at political and social challenges and problems facing America. We also have a look at the rise and the fall of the American economy, and also look at changes in American culture and society. And here are some of the topics that we cover. We look at immigration, first of all, into America in the early 20th century. Big cruise liners, for example, like the Titanic, which was intended to bring people over to America from Europe who wanted to start a new life and live the American dream. We also look at racism, especially in the southern states of America. And in the 1920s, there was a huge surge in membership of racist groups such as the Ku Klux Klan. So we look at the effect they have. We also look at crime and corruption, and we have a look in detail at the era of Prohibition. And this was when alcohol was banned in America. And here you can see them pouring away the alcohol because that then became illegal to manufacture and sell alcohol. This gave rise to the age of the gangster, who would often smuggle in alcohol or make it themselves. This is Al Capone. We do a case study on him and the kind of activities that he and his gangsters were involved in, such as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Okay, so I've said that we look at the economy, we look at how it boomed, okay, and how America did really, really well at the beginning of the 1920s. And then by 1929, we had something called the Wall Street crash, which meant that stock markets fell and there was a massive economic depression in America then in the 1930s. We also then look at American culture and society and big changes that took place in the 1920s. We look at movie stars like Rudolph Valentino, Charlie Chaplin, and Clara Bow. We also look at speakeasy culture, illegal bars where there was jazz music playing and where people would do new dances like the Charleston. We also look at the changing role and changing status of women in the 1920s. You can see very, very different to what had been expected before. After that, in Year 11, we do a unit called Crime and Punishment. This is worth 30% of your grade, and again, there's one exam in this. This is slightly longer, an hour and 15 minutes. So this looks at crime and punishment from 1500 right up until the present day, and it's based on continuity and change. So we have a look at what has stayed the same in crime and punishment and what has changed, and these are the type of topics we look at. We look at the crime of treason, such as the Gunpowder Plot. We also look at crimes like highway robbery, pickpocketing in the nation's cities. We also look at more modern crime and how they've developed, such as computer hacking or computer fraud and phishing scams. We also look at international terrorism. We look at the development of the police from its earliest days, right up until the modern police force and the new technology they use to catch criminals. We also look at punishments from the stocks and the pillories to executions such as hanging, to more restorative punishment such as community service that we use today. In Year 10, we do a unit called Depression, War and Recovery in Wales and England from 1930 to 1951. So just like the America paper, this exam paper is 1 hour long, and we aim to do this paper at the end of Year 10, so you get one exam out of the way before Year 11. So 3 topic areas are before the war, during an economic depression, during the war at home in Britain, and the recovery after the war. So we look at the depression years of the 1930s and how a lot of families, particularly in South Wales where we are now, were suffering a lot of poverty and the effects that had. We also then have a look at during wartime, we look at the evacuation of children from cities into the safety of the countryside. We also have a look at the Blitz on London and the bombing of other significant cities in Britain, such as Cardiff and such as Swansea. We also look at the idea of a Blitz spirit and whether this was a myth or whether people really did, like you can see in the picture, just keep calm and carry on. Then after the war, we look at how we recovered, how we rebuilt. And we also look at the new kind of life that we wanted for Britain and the birth of the NHS. In addition to those 3 units and those 3 exams, you will also sit a non-examination assessment or an NEA. Okay, this is what we used to call coursework. This is worth 20% of the qualification. So 80% is exam, 20% is a non-examination assessment sat in class, okay, under controlled conditions. So this involves the completion of 2 separate tasks. They are 2 essays or 2 pieces of extended writing. One is on source evaluation, so you will work as a historian, looking at sources, seeing how useful and reliable they are for our inquiry. And another one will look at different historical interpretations of history. So that's different views of history and why people might have different views of the same event. And you will choose which interpretation of an event is more valid based on the sources that we study. So history has plenty to offer us. There is a lot to remember. There was a lot of revision. There will be a lot of work. It is a literacy strong subject, so there will be writing. You will be writing essays, and there will be reading and source analysis. It is a very rewarding subject to study. It is very well respected. It is seen as academic. If you are good at English, then history might well be the subject for you. You don't have to be, as long as you are able to work hard and you're willing to commit, then you will be a good historian. It is very well respected if you want to go into a career such as something to do with law or social work or police work. It is also good for anything really where you have to deal with people, because you are looking at people's past and also different people's views and how people come to have those views as well. Okay, if you would like any further information at all or wonder whether you're suited to history, please call in to room 402 in Upper Block. That's where I'm based, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions at all. Okay, thank you.